Hey, everybody, this is Jason Alba, and we are continuing the April 2020 Soft Skills and Professional Development conversation. So today we're going to talk about time management and prioritization and productivity based on my Pluralsight course. Remember, you can get full access to Pluralsight the entire month of April. And honestly, even though we're 2/3 of the way through, there's still 10 days left of Pluralsight, and it's pretty awesome because they've never done a free giveaway this long before. They've never done a free giveaway 10 days. And so I'd say it's still totally worth it to go into Pluralsight and sign up and get from now until the end of April free. You don't have to put a credit card in, so there's nothing to cancel at the end of the month, which is pretty awesome. Today I am talking about my course, which is based on, let me see if I can do this right, prioritizing tasks and managing time for greater productivity. This is about an hour and 55 minutes. Probably a good use of your time. It was a good use of my time when I reviewed it this morning. I wanted to bring in a friend of mine who I have known for a few years. He's also a Pluralsight author, and he has a lot of stuff going on. I've always been really impressed with all the projects that he works on, and he used to, pre-corona, travel around the globe like a globetrotter. He's always somewhere different. He has multiple businesses that he works on. He's very, very smart, and I think he's very productive. Everything that I've seen from him, he's got a lot of things going on. He's strategic about it and purposeful. And I thought, man, what a great opportunity to talk with someone who talks a lot about productivity. So let me introduce my friend, and I'm gonna let you say your name because I think you say it different than I do.
Okay, so it's like Xavier Morera, but I'm from Costa Rica, so it's Xavier Morera. So if you want, you do it like in Spanish, but that's okay.
Can I say Javier?
No, that's different. Like
Oh
Xavier.
yeah, well,
Yeah, that's not.
all right. It's gonna take me a while because I have a brother named Javier, and
Okay.
I've lived in non-Costa Rica Latin America for six years, and I'm still working on your name. So all right,
Okay.
Xavier, is that? Tell me which is your preferred?
Xavier, that would be okay.
Xavier. All right, I'm gonna try that. I'm
Like
gonna.
the guy from the X-Men or the University. Each one.
Oh yeah,
Either one
right.
works. Yeah.
So tell us real quick, what are some of the things that you do? I know you're really busy. What are some of the things that you do?
Okay, so right now I'm working on Pluralsight. I have 22 courses. I'm also right now planning number 23, and I'm working on an update to a JSON.NET course, which JSON.NET is the most popular library in Microsoft.NET. So I'll be working on that pretty soon. I also do consulting. One of the companies that I do consulting for is Cloudera. I also have a support center for a tech company. People are based here in Costa Rica. Everything's distributed. It's an application for cars. It's for dealers. So I got about 12 people working on that here. I have two software as a service applications that I'm working on right now. One of them is used by the National Association of Dealers in Costa Rica. The other is used by which I just sold, by the way. It's I sold it to my business partner to focus on more machine learning oriented applications and search applications. It was used. It was like the Carfax of Costa Rica. I basically built that one as well. I also published a book recently on developing Spark applications with Python. And yeah, in general, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Plus, I have a family, and right now I'm doing most of it myself in terms of managing the two companies and staying on top of things. I got 14 people working for me, so it's not easy, having to just go back and forth. So I'm expanding. I'm there. I'm delivering stuff. For me, delivering is the key to be productive. It's not how much work you put into it; it's how much good stuff you deliver. That's what counts for me.
Okay, cool, man. So One thing that's always impressed me about you is that you're really nice. Like, I get the impression you're pretty chill. Like, you're just kind of sitting back right now and you're pretty chill. And you're like, yeah, I do this and this and this and this. Let me take 10 minutes to tell you all the stuff that I do. And plus, I manage 14 people. But you're real chill about it. You're really, really nice. But you're a hustler. Like, you are out there getting a lot of stuff done. I talk to a lot of people who want to do something else and they want to have another business and they want to do a course and they want to whatever. And you have your fingers in a lot of pots. At what point do you get overwhelmed with anything?
Pretty frequently, I would say. But here's the thing. Here's a couple of things regarding the hustling. I don't have it here because I'm at home. I have a very small office in a different location. It's it's like 10 square meters, which in feet, I don't know how much that is because I don't do the conversion. I'm from Costa Rica, right? You use metric. But I have like a big sign in my recording room that says, every day I'm hustling. Every day that I see that, I remember that it's just hard work. But it's not only hard work. It's hard work in the right direction. That's the thing that some people say, being effective versus efficient. You can be really good at doing something, but if nobody else cares about it, then it's not going to help you that much. And the other thing that I do a lot is what's called portfolio thinking. Given that I'm also not from the US, I don't have a lot of stock, and the stock market is not something big for me. But I see that when you have like a portfolio of different like investments, some of them might go up, some of them might go down. But on average, except for when during a pandemic, you might be in a good position. So what I always do is like, okay, I see some stuff that it needs a little bit more attention, but let me first work in this, and then I'll put some other effort into that. So the key for me is knowing what are the things that are in the air, how important they are for me, and what impact are they going to have on my bottom line. So if there's something that I really, really want to do, and there's a good financial gain from it, I know I'm going to be putting some effort into it. But it's not only money. For example, like in 15 days, I'm going to be doing a Spark presentation. That's big data for the lab, for the machine learning lab, or the artificial intelligence lab for one of the universities here in Costa Rica. I'm not going to get any money from it, but I'm going to get a lot of pleasure, and I'm going to be able to get some exposure and to meet some people that work in a related field, because I live in Costa Rica, but for my past 19 years, which is my entire professional career, I've only been working with projects in the US or in Europe. Well, now the UK, but I live here, but I don't move around too much in this environment. The companies that I've worked with here in Costa Rica, they always outsource me, or we work for projects in the US. So it's good to be able to know more people around here.
Yeah, I love the idea of the portfolio thinking. I thought you were going to talk about multiple revenue streams, which is a concept of portfolio thinking. But
Yeah.
as you were talking about, the thing you're doing in 15 days, it's not just about revenue streams, but it's all the different things that keep you going. There was a course that we talked about a week or two ago on probably career management, something along those lines, where I talked about, you have to be the CEO of Me Incorporated, but you also have to be the CFO of Me Incorporated and the chief marketing officer. And so in 15 days, you're going to take a little bit of time, and I'm sure that you'll have prep time before that, but you're going to take time to be the chief marketing officer, because you can't focus on just one thing and then let everything else completely fall. Like, sometimes things have to get put on pause, but you can't let them just die, right? And so, as you know, I spend a lot of time marketing. I spend a lot of time on Twitter and Facebook and my blogs and stuff like that, like sharing the message and sharing the story and sharing the things that I have to share, things that are available to people. And of course, I do that partially because I get compensated for it, but I also do it because when I was in a world of hurt, I guess 14 or so years ago in my job search, there was nothing. Like, and so a big part of what I do is to share things with people. But now that's turned into marketing, and I'm okay with that. There's nothing wrong with marketing. I'm proud of what I have built and what I do. And I think that's an important part of our careers. And so I'm really intrigued by this idea. By the way, the formula that I put up in my course is prioritizing plus time management hopefully equals productivity, right? So we are productive, we create things when we prioritize and we manage our time well. Talk to me about, there's two things that are really common, but they're also really controversial. One is setting goals like New Year's resolutions, which a lot of people are down on in January. And the other is a to-do list. I kind of do goals. I definitely have my list of stuff that I want to work through, and I need to work through that. Talk to me about your philosophy on to-do lists and how you manage all the different things that you know you need to do in a day or a week.
Okay, so one of the things that I do is I use Jira, Atlassian Jira, which is it's a tool that helps you just create tickets and then follow up. So whenever there's something that's really important, or even something that is not even important, I just create a Jira ticket and I put it just there in the back burner. Whenever there's something that I think I need to do, I move it to the selected for development column.
So do you prioritize those? Because I know in most of those
Yes.
task managers, okay, so you use that, you prioritize them. Okay.
Yeah, they have the little images, the arrow going up or the double arrow or the red in colors. So I use those for prioritization. So for me, that's very important because especially, so here's the thing, if you have a lot of things in your mind, like I do, because I have to do the taxes, the marketing, which I need to
Oh, managing 14 people alone is a full-time job.
Yeah, I know. Of those, the call center works very smoothly, I must say. I knock on wood, but it does work smoothly. It's the other people that do more development, the ones that need more day to day. But the support center, that one works like a Swiss clock. It runs like a Swiss clock. But one of the things is, I have my tickets, I can see the stuff, and because I have so many things in my mind, if I do a ticket, then I take it off my mind and I can focus on working. Because if it's like if you're trying to work while you're doing the supermarket list in your head, nothing's going to get done. It's the same thing. If you're trying to work and you're like, okay, I need to do this for that thing and I need to do that, you're not concentrating, so you're not getting anything done. So that's the thing. If you write it down, it's going to be there when you go back. Like, okay, those are the things that I'm going to need to do. That one is the one that I'm going to be working on. It's better. You write things down, and you don't forget them. I mean, if you just try to rely on memory, I'm getting old. So I'm forgetting stuff. So it's better if I just write it down.
When I was going through my course this morning, I went through the part that talks about multitasking and how when we multitask, we're not effective. And there are scientists who put sensors on the brain. It's not a real thing. So I love the idea. What I just got from what you said was write it all down, put it all in my list in your task management system. And, a lot of people out there might not have access to a task management system. Do it on paper, do it on a sticky note, do it on whatever. It doesn't matter. But the idea is that I heard from you is take the thing you're going to work on and put your concentration on that thing. Don't worry about all the other stuff. But the other stuff, it's on a list and you'll get to it and you're not going to forget it. But focus, be super present on the task that you're working on right now and get it done and get it done right.
Get it done. That's what I say. If somebody asks me, what's your superpower? I say, I deliver. That's what I say. I get stuff done. That's what I tell them. And especially if you're an independent like me, one of the things that really counts is if you deliver, not how much time you've spent working. So I see some people that are like, yeah, I spent 2 months working on this. I'm like, have you delivered the thing? Well, no. Then it doesn't count until you ship it. You're just working on it. And that's one of the things in terms of being productive and time management. I have a lot of friends here in Costa Rica that they've been telling me, especially, people that have worked in those companies that we do stuff for American companies that are like, dude, I want to be like you. You're doing all these projects and you're doing the courses and you're going to all these conferences and all those things. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What did you do last night? I was watching, I don't know, Netflix, something like, dude, get off Netflix. Go watch Pluralsight, learn something. then decide what you want to do and just go and do it. Because that's the thing. A lot of people, and that's why they call them the entrepreneurs. They want to be entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs, yeah.
Yeah, but they just want to be there. But a lot of people they just want, but they're not willing to put in the effort. So that's something that puts apart the people who deliver than those that are just talkers. And
Yeah.
I don't like being a talker. I like being a doer. Actually, I'm more of a doer than a talker. I need to improve my marketing skills, I should say, because I focus too much in just working. I need to put my word out a little bit more. So that's
Hey,
something that I'm
make
working
make
on
a
myself.
make a Jira task to spend a
Yeah.
little time marketing yourself. So, as an entrepreneur since 2014, or I'm sorry, 2006, it's not something that I mean, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't think it would ever happen this way. And there was it was a really bumpy start. But one of the phrases that I really came to appreciate was you eat what you kill, right?
Mhm.
So if you're hungry and you want to eat, you got to go out and kill something, right? And that's
Mhm.
how the entrepreneurs kind of live. They live and die by you eat what you kill.
Mhm.
A couple of years ago, I was in a job, as you know, at corporate America for 10 months. And it was amazing, man. I'd pull up into the parking lot and just kind of walk casually into the office and get to my desk and go fill up my water bottle. And everybody's just kind of mulling around. And, this was an amazing company and there was a lot of stuff happening, but it was very chill, right? And
Mhm.
some of the objectives were like quarters out. Like, hey, so in
Mhm.
3 quarters, we're going to achieve this. And I have anxiety because I'm like, well, honestly, we can do this project that you spec'd out for 3 months. We can do it this week. Like, let's get this done. Let's get it off the list and move on. And it was frustrating to be in that environment where people, here's the deal, man. In corporate America, you go to work and then you get paid every couple weeks. Like that's just
Mhm.
lunches and whatever all the benefits are, like I got my birthday off. That was one of the corporate benefits. And as an entrepreneur, if I take my birthday off, it's like, okay, but I gotta eat, I gotta kill something a few days earlier, or I'm gonna work
Mhm.
extra hard the next day because you eat what you
Yeah.
kill. The phrases that I hear are, as opposed to this eat what you kill, is busy work. So here's 3 phrases that are anti eat what you kill. Busy work. People do
Mhm.
busy work, right? Butts in seats. I've heard that as a metric. How many butts in seats do we have? And warm bodies. How many warm bodies do we have at work? And it's like, I'm not here. Like productivity is my objective and my purpose. I am not here at work to be busy or to be a warm body, right? So
That's what I say. I'm here to deliver. And now that you mentioned that, I hate the word busy because one of my previous business partners, because I've been an entrepreneur for several years, and I had a couple of good things and some that crashed and burned. But one of them, I had a business partner, and I'll just share a link later on, when it gets published, to the story of my life, because I have a blog post that's called Failing Entrepreneurship While You're Young is Great. So I'll share that one later, but I had this partner who was always about being busy. I mean, we started a company. It started out of my home. He was in the U.S. I was here in Costa Rica. In 2 years, we had 25 employees, and literally my room was, I was living there, and the other 2 rooms were offices, and downstairs there were servers and cables all over the place. And we were actually working for corporate Microsoft. They didn't know we lived, like my house was my office. That was that was a funny thing. So when we got visitors, we had to, which is what I sometimes do, we rent out like this in the hotel, with like a very, but being busy was not actually, he was productive, but the things that probably nobody cared about. I,
yeah,
I actually, when we got to 25 people, I left that company to start on my own. So a little bit before I started with Pluralsight, and the company went from 25 employees to 3 employees in the matter of a couple of years. So it was from just us two to 25 people in 2.5 years, and then back to like 4 or 5 people in just a couple of years too. So it was basically me, the one who was being productive. He was getting the sales, but I was pretty much doing all the work. So that's how it shows that someone is actually the one who's getting things done. And he was always busy, but busy is not the same as being adding value to a company.
yeah. Absolutely. And like I said, that it comes from that entrepreneur mindset. And for those of you who are on this call that are not entrepreneurs, there's this phrase that came out a decade or so, or maybe more ago, that was intrapreneur, which is you have an entrepreneurial mindset inside a corporate environment. And so as Xavier and I are talking about this, this mindset and being entrepreneurs, and you can tell this guy's a hustler, right? Like, as we're talking about this, I don't want you to think, oh, well, if I ever own my own company, then I'm going to do this. What I've found is we need to be productive throughout our entire career. We need to make this a skill that we master, because we either need to show what our work is, right? I'm doing math work. Our bosses want to see what we're doing, especially if we're on those weird projects where we're not going to see anything tangible for months or years. We need to show what we're doing to kind of justify where we're at and what our value is. But I'm telling you what, man, as a skill, this is something that we should be able to take into interviews. Like, you know, if Xavier is sitting there, if I was interviewing him for a job, one of the things he should say is, people know me as someone who delivers. That's what people know me as. And I think that's an important part of our brand. It's a skill, it's a muscle that we need to build. How do you manage your time? What do you work? 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day? Like what's your...
It depends. So it varies a lot. So before we get into that, let me just say a couple of things, because you mentioned a few things that are kind of important. So number one, because I'm not that good at marketing myself in terms of just, you know, my marketing is actually my work. I usually get contacted like, hey, would you like to help us in this project? I'm like, where did you know, who told you about me? I kind of ask that. Like, yeah, you deliver that, or I saw your training, or, you know, someone told us that you built, because, you know, that search API for that company or something like that. So that's one. My work is my marketing. You know, doing a good job is what gets me other jobs. That was number one. Two, when it comes to entrepreneurship, I think it's like inflating a tire. You know, when you have a tire that's fully, you know, it's empty, and you start putting air on it, it's just sitting there. It doesn't look like it's inflating, and all of a sudden goes like, boop. That's like how it works. You know, you might be putting a lot of effort, and at the beginning, you're not going to see a lot of results. But then all of a sudden, you're like, oh wow, hey, I'm coasting along. That's really good, and that's kind of what happened to me. You know, for me, I put an absurd amount of work, and things were not moving forward. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, you know what? I can be an independent. Okay, let's go with it. And
yeah, same. I've had that same experience. I haven't had that analogy ever. I love that analogy, but I've had the same experience where I'm pumping a lot of air in, and it's tiring and it's frustrating, and you wonder, should I even be doing this? And then one day you have a firm tire, and it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like this. This is nice.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen overnight.
No, it didn't happen. You know, they say that overnight success takes like 10 years. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm still waiting for it. So I'm just now that we're in a time, you know, a crazy time where a lot of people are like struggling about finances and all that. The fact of having multiple revenue streams, it's a killer for me. And the other thing is,
when you say it's a killer, you mean it's a killer idea, like it's important.
It's great. I mean, yeah, a killer idea. You know,
yeah,
it's amazing to have this. Also, all through my life, I've been very frugal, I might say. I drive normal cars. I live in a small house. I always tell the people that work for me, some of them are really bad at money management, and I always tell them, dude, you're buying, you know, stuff that you don't like to impress people that you care about with money that you don't have. Just, you know, think about your finances first. In a time like this, you know, having some money saved up for a rainy day sure makes a difference. So,
oh yeah,
that's
well, and who saw this coming? Like, this pandemic, I think, has been a slap in the face to the whole world. Where if you have been living paycheck to paycheck, hopefully this has been an eye opener for you, especially once you start getting any government money. I know some countries are doing government stimulus to individuals. And it's like when I got laid off back in 2006, I got on unemployment. And if I remember correctly, unemployment was like $400 to $600 a month. No, I'm sorry, a week. And, it's kind of like, oh yeah, I could like sit on the dole. I could live on the dole or sit on the dole or whatever the English term is, and basically live off the government. But I'll tell you what, man, nobody's living off the government for $400 a week or $600 a week. That's not much money. And I'm not saying that it should increase. I'm not advocating that the government gives people more money to not work. But what I'm saying is, don't think of that safety net. I mean, it was great to have that little bit of a safety net, but it's not a safety net that's going to cover everything. I am also, as the viewers, I think, and I know Xavier knows, I am a massive fan and advocate of multiple streams of income.
That's correct. They're amazing. Yeah.
Um,
So here it's $200 in Costa Rica bi-weekly. So good luck with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can pay some bills.
Yeah, or maybe at least eat. So, and the other thing is that my wife comes from a family where they have great jobs, but everybody is an employee. So they get all the benefits, the vacations, the everything. So when we got married and I was like, independent, which was a little bit different from she what used to, she was like, why don't you find a job? I was like, I don't know. And then, things were a little bit tight, of course, because we were getting started. Then we had kids, we had a mortgage and the cars and, life. And so this was a little bit of a thing. It took several years until, while the tire was deflated, it was a little bit hard to justify being an entrepreneur. But once we got to the part of, now things were way better than if we were employees. I was like, oh, that's good. So, it might not be an it's a mindset that you have to be an entrepreneur. And it's not only you, it affects your entire family. So my daughters always ask me, so Daddy, why do you work so much? Because to answer your questions, there are days when I work, maybe I can work like 4 hours because I'm gonna do something with my family. There are days that I work from 8 a.m. to midnight. So
Yeah.
it all depends
Been
on
there.
yeah, it all depends. And sometimes I had to work weekends, which apparently every day now is a Monday because I haven't been out of the house for 5 weeks. We've gone to the supermarket like twice. We're doing the stay at home thing. Like, we're taking it very seriously. So, so yeah, they asked me, why do you work so hard? And the other day I told my little daughter, I was like, you know why daddy works so hard? Because now he's independent. He doesn't have a boss. He has customers, which are different. They're good, but they're different. And I can just wear shorts and sandals if I wanted to. I live in Costa Rica, so I should, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Hey, let me ask you a question, and then we're going to wrap this up. So, before we do that, I'll just pull up the screen here again. So we have Xavier's courses, which are, just give me a brief overview. Right here, it shows data analytics is the big stuff. But what are the courses that you cover? What are the topics you cover?
So basically, I do courses on those things that I do in my real life. So most of the things so I started with an agile course. That's the first one. Basically, a Scrum development and the Kanban development with Jira Agile. So because uh, let me tell you how I got started. I got started with Pluralsight because there was this company that I was doing some contracting with, where I was one of the main. I was pushing Agile to everyone, and they didn't believe that much in Agile. So I was doing some presentations, I was doing some internal training. I was like, oh, maybe you know what? Maybe I could just record this for Pluralsight and just share it with some other people. And that's where I got with that one. That company was called Search Technologies. They have now been acquired by Accenture. So the second course that I did was that one, getting started with enterprise search using Apache Solar, which is one of the most popular open source platforms for enterprise search. And because we were working with .NET, then I have the .NET performance optimization. I also have implementing search in .NET applications. That one that you have at the top, that's the implementing search in .NET applications. That's a funny story. So in 2015, I built I built the search API for one of the four of the big four auditing firms in the US. I
Mhm.
basically went to Atlanta, some meetings, and from here I basically implemented the search API. It took me like 6 months, But in that, couple of hour course, I teach you what you need to learn to implement a search API at a professional grade, like for the Big Four auditing
That's
firm.
awesome.
Yeah,
And I'm just going to say, I'm sure it's amazing. It's not a couple hours, though. This is 4.5 hours of, which is awesome. I mean, I think people look at that and they're like, oh, crap, I don't have 4.5 hours. But you know what? Invest 4.5 hours to learn from the guy who built the thing for a Big Four. Like, that's pretty awesome.
80,000 people users, 80,000 users a day, and these are auditors. It's not like open, in the web. It's the actual auditors who go to the big companies when they want to look for something that they need to apply from their law. They go through my search API, and I built it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of agile.
Yeah, and then I got more into the data, which is I've been doing a whole bunch of stuff with Cloudera. I started building some of the courses here because I love what Cloudera is doing right now. Eventually, they started hiring me to do some stuff for them, some development. And then I do a bunch of Spark, which I love it as a big data. And if you move on, I can see more T-SQL, Azure, Python. So that's basically where I moved. So Agile, it's because I push it as a way to basically to organize projects. But aside from that, it's mostly data. It's search, it's T-SQL. All of it runs in the cloud, so it goes all around.
So give me an idea. If I'm a data scientist, am I flocking over your courses? Like data scientists should be over here.
Yeah, data scientists should be doing the Spark one.
Database administrators.
Database administrators, not so much. If you're a database developer, the T-SQL data manipulation playbook would help you, and the querying XML, JSON, and temporal data with T-SQL can help you as well.
So if I'm a developer and I'm doing a lot of database stuff, I need to be over here on these courses.
Especially if you're a data engineer. So
data engineer, awesome. Okay, all right. Give me pause here real quick, Xavier, for a couple of minutes. I'm going to talk about this these other courses in the free April, and then I got one last question for you. So the course that I was basing today's conversation off of was prioritizing tasks, managing time for greater productivity. And it's a little shy of 2 hours. And I was going through it this morning. It's a pretty good course. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Another course I want to shout out to my friend across the pond, Stephen Hans from the UK. His course is on increasing productivity by beating procrastination. And if you have that intrapreneurial mindset, you're not allowed to procrastinate. You can't. If you procrastinate, you starve, right? So that's another really interesting course that I would definitely recommend you check out. Right now, in April of 2020, we have the free April promotion from Pluralsight. The entire month, you get it for free. We're 2/3 of the way in. So if this is new to you, sorry, but it's been all over the internet. Sign up on the button that says sign up now by free April. So there's some sign up buttons where you'll get a 10-day pass. You don't want that. You want the free April pass. If you're watching this after April of 2020, you can hit me up or hit Xavier or any Pluralsight author that you can find. We might be able to come up with a 30-day pass for you. With that, let me go back into the view with just me and Xavier. Here's my last question for you.
Go.
I have a lot of opportunities that cross my plate, and I know you do too. Some of them come from other people. Some of them come from my team. Some of them come from doing research on market opportunities or users or whatever. How do you say no? Because you have to say no to stuff. What do you do in order to figure out what you say yes to and what you say no to?
Okay, so first of all, you need to learn to say no, because if you never say no, because I was there at some point in my life when I was starting, I said yes to everything. So I was stretching myself too thin. I was not paying enough attention, and here's the thing: everybody wants to become a millionaire with their $1 million application, and everybody can have a $1 million application, but having being in the right spot at the right moment, basically, it's really hard. And sometimes you are not in the right spot. You have to get yourself to the right spot. You know, it's all a matter of timing, knowing the right people, putting the right amount of effort. So for me, it's very simple. I whenever I get people who come to me, it's like, hey, I have this great idea for an application. Why don't you build it? And I give you the idea. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. First thing I always tell them first, okay, dude. So let's do this. You put the idea, and I always throw in a number depending on the person. Why don't you put $10,000 so we can hire a developer and to see if we build a minimum viable product, or $3,000. I just put on a number, and people are, if I see like like Bambi, like deer in the headlight, things like, oh yeah, that for me just tells me that that's a person. Well, not even that doesn't have the money, but that doesn't believe in the idea. They just want to have like an idea and just throw it to somebody and let somebody else do the hard work. So I always do that little test. If someone says like, oh, 3,000, yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, maybe maybe I could do something. And if they show some interest, then I can start the conversation. But I always do that. That's like a litmus test. See how much someone is willing to put his skin on the game. So a
Yep.
lot of people
Yep.
are not willing to put their skin on the game. So I always do that first. And then second, I have to sit down. I have to sit down with this person. So tell me why this matters, and do it, in an efficient way. Tell me something that's going to catch my attention. But right now, I mean, I'm trying to focus, just like the Google guy said, more wood behind less arrows. I used to, which was good for me. At some point, I diversified myself and I tried way too many things. When I saw some of those were working, that's when I directed my attention and started to put more effort into the ones that had, better results. So for me, it was a little bit of a trial and error at the beginning. Now that I have more or less an idea of where I'm going, it's for me easy. For me, it's easier to say no, because like, yeah, that does not align to what I'm doing right now. I've got people coming to me, hey, why don't we do like a CRM that you can do something? Like, dude, you're reinventing the wheel. That there's so many
Yeah.
people doing that.
Hundreds of wheels. There's hundreds of CRMs
Yeah.
out there. That's awesome. It's making me think about a time early in my entrepreneurial career when I sat down and I listed out 10 active revenue streams. And I was actually surprised and proud that I had 10 active revenue streams. But as I think about it right now, I have four. And one of them's pretty passive. It's a couple of rental properties
Mhm.
that I don't do much with. So that narrows it down to three. And I'm pretty active with Pluralsight when I have the chance to be active. But like with Jibber Jobber, I have a team. And so even though it's an active revenue stream, I'm not working it full time all the time because I have individuals in place helping me. I've had other opportunities to bring on a fifth revenue stream, and I can't because I'm kind of at my max. And I love the phrase you said, more, what is it? More wood, less arrows. I'm putting my energy and focus into these four things at different proportions, but I'm putting it into these four things without adding more arrows, because I know I'm getting close to the breaking point where I just can't handle more anymore. So anyways, hey man, this is great stuff. Thank you so much, Xavier. If you want to find me or Xavier on Pluralsight, I always go to Google and just type it in, but you'll see my last name on the screen is Alba. So type that, or type in Xavier. I saw 3 Xaviers on Pluralsight.
Xavier Morera. So
yeah, there you go. And then the other course that we talked about was from Stephen Hauntz, which is HAUNTS. And that's it. Xavier, thanks for your time. We'll talk to you next time.
Jason. Bye.
Bye.